Welcome to Kathy's Renewed You.
Hi, I'm Kathy Stoddard Torrey. Today we're going to talk about goals. It's the beginning of the year, and I love goals. I love the beginning of the year, and I love a fresh start, but even I get a little overwhelmed with all the information on goals. So we're going to talk about them. We're going to do some work around goals, but we're going to try and have as much fun as possible along the way. So first, if you haven't already, you need to download the Wheel of Life. Okay, the link is in the description of this video. And the link will take you right there. You can download it. And you need to actually have it on paper. Here's mine, because we're going to mark on it. The other thing to do when you pause is to get pencil and paper. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the instructions so you can pause and do everything all at one time. You're going to write down your goals. All right, now, goals. Don't think of them as goals. Think of it as your desires and those things that would give you a sense of fulfillment. All right, so you're going to hit pause, download the wheel if you haven't already, get something to write on, something to write with, and write down your desires and things that would give you a sense of fulfillment. Welcome back. I gave you a second there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at your list, and I want you to circle on your list the goals that you wrote, all the things that really, if you said I should do this, it's that sense of obligation, like I should exercise more, I should eat better, I should do this. Okay, I want you to circle all of those. I'll give you just a second. Okay. So once you've circled them, those are what I call brain goals, all right? Those are your brain talking, and it's the things that you think about and that you feel like you should do, right? Maybe it's a little bit of an obligation or some pressure from other people. All right, those goals are not inspiring, and those goals are usually the ones that you don't get done because there's no motivation behind them. So what we're looking for are heart goals. Now, it's not some of your should goals, we're going to go back to them, and some of them may turn out to have a heart reason under them, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But right now, I just want you to be aware of which ones automatically make you think, ugh, and which ones don't. Because the ones that make you go, ugh, are the ones that are most likely the ones that are not going to get accomplished unless we dig down a little bit deeper. Okay. All right, so put the list aside. And now we're going to do the Wheel of Life. Okay, and here's mine. And on it are categories. You can look at yours. Around the categories are career, family, physical environment, fun and friends, personal growth, money, health, significant other, and romance. All right, what we're going to do is you're going to kind of assess your life in each of those areas. You're going to look at it. If you think that your life is just as perfect as it could be in that area, your family is just swimming along great and everything is just the way you want it, you're going to put your line out here. That's 10. If maybe your family's not going so well right now, it's like, ugh, definitely need work, then maybe here. Or it's okay, 50-50, I'm about middle on family. Then you're going to put it about halfway up that little piece of the pie. So I'm going to look at mine, career. Okay, so for me, career is a reinvention at the moment. One of my goals is to sort of shift over, and so it's not where I want it to be. It's getting there, but there's still quite a bit that I want to do. So I'm going to say a little more than 60, maybe 70, or a 7 out of 10. So I'm going to make my mark right there for career. All right, and you can mark yours with me as we go along on this. Family. All right, let me clarify on family. It's not an outside judgment. Like, I have family members that I don't talk to all the time, and I'm okay with that. We're different people. There's not hard feelings. I don't hold grudges. I'm perfectly okay with that. So my family, I think right now, I might want to create a little more closeness within parts of my extended family, but all in all, I'm pretty good on my family. Okay, physical environment. Now, your physical environment is your house, your office, your car. You can decide if it's all of those things or just focus in on one of them, whatever it is. It's how you feel about your surroundings. My husband and I have been working really hard on our physical environment to get it better, to clean out and clear out. So, pretty good about that one. I'm gonna say like 80, so I'm gonna put that one about right there. That's 8 out of 10 if you think of it as a 1 to 10 scale. Fun and friends. I haven't integrated into the community that we live in very well. So that's probably about 50 or 5 out of 10. So I'm going to put it about right there. Personal growth. Now, personal growth, that can cover quite a bit of things because I was looking on this and I was like, well, there's not a spiritual aspect. And I think that goes into personal growth. So if there's a spirituality aspect to your life, you know, how you feel about that, how you feel about learning, it's kind of a lump it together category. And you could actually write in the pie square, you know, what you're thinking about when you've written this. Personal growth, I'm always learning. I love learning. It's kind of my thing. Spirituality, I probably, am I feeling a should there? I would like to be more involved on that side. So I'm going to say, I don't know, 60, 70, maybe. Okay. All right. Money. Pretty good. Saving some. Would like to save more. And I really want to get motivated on that. So I'm going to put that one a little lower because although it's good, it's not really where I want it to be. Health. Whew. Health has had a major impact on me, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. It's probably as good as I can expect it to be at the moment, but there's room for improvement for me. All right, so that's what mine is. And I only have one left, significant other romance. My husband and I are empty nesters. So it's just the two of us. And we really have had a good time with it just being the two of us. I always believe, I'm one of those people that never gives a 10. I always go with a 9. So I always believe there's room for improvement. So I'm going to put it way up here though. All right, so if you look at your wheel and you looked on it as a wheel, you can see that it wouldn't run very well. It's going to be a pretty uneven wheel that you've got going there. And that's okay. We have categories in our life. It's not, because we talked about perfection before. You're never going to get it all the way out to perfect, all the way around, but that's our goal. We want to close those gaps between the line that we drew and the line that's on the outside of the wheel as much as we can. So look at your list and think about which ones really, heart goals, which ones you really feel motivated to move forward on. So as I look at the list, I'm going to say career, because that's just where I am in my life right now. I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time and then began building my career. And now I'm kind of at a reinvention phase. And that's really where I want to put a lot of focus. So I'm going to put a little star by career. And you don't want to get too many categories going. So fun and friends is pretty far down there right now, but it really doesn't motivate me to do anything more at this moment. So I think, all right, so mine are going to be careers 1, money is 2, those are kind of related, and then 3 is health. All right, so we'll do 3 as health. So what I have on mine looks like this. Yours should look similar. So what you want to do is now we're going to think about what would move us from where we are on the 3 that we picked out. Right? And those are our goals that we want to write down. And if they're not on the list that you already have, you want to add them. So you may need to pause it here. If you do, that's fine. Or you might be able just to do it while I'm talking. So for example, for money, I would like to save more. Right? So I could just write it now as save more. I'll just add that to my list, save more. For health, I really wish I was more consistent in my exercise routine so that I would write maybe consistent exercise routine on my list if it isn't already there. Right? So you've already written your list of desires and the things that make you feel fulfilled. And so now we're checking in, are those things reflected on your wheel of life? Or are there things that now you kind of thought about it? No, I want to add that on there. Right? So now you have a pretty complete list. You've looked at kind of just thinking what you would like, and then you've also looked using the wheel of life. So now what I want you to do is to look at that list and prioritize it. And when you're doing it, I want you to think of prioritizing it in heart sense, okay? Not should brain sense. Because the best goals are the ones that talk to your brain and your heart. And those are the ones we want to start with, the ones that you feel the most motivation for. And we're going to talk about finding that in a second. But first, just prioritize them. Okay? Put them like, wow, I really, really want to accomplish this goal. This one's it. So put a 1 by that one. And I don't know, just give me your top 5. If you've got a long list, pick the top 5 that desired fulfillment, those that they match that requirement. You can pause it if you need to. I'm going to move on and talk about the big why. Okay. The big why is a concept I like the way my friend Catherine Krupka explains the big why. It's a concept that you'll see quite a bit, but I think her discussion of it is good. And the link to her video on the big why is also in the description of this video, along with the link to the Wheel of Life is the link to her video. But in essence, what you're doing is you're looking at your list and you're saying, why do I want to do that? So let's just say health, like consistent exercise. I could be looking at it as, consistent exercise, I don't want to do that. So why do I put it on there? What's the benefit for me? And maybe it could be, I'm making stuff up because I don't have grandchildren, but maybe it would be that I want to be able to get on the floor and play with my grandkids or go outside or pick them up even. Maybe for consistent physical exercise, it's that I want to fit into my suits, which actually is a reason for me. I don't want to ever lose my classic suits that I've bought. I want to be able to wear them. And for me, that's a motivation. And that's a big motivation. And for you, you may look at it and go, ugh. So what's important is the big why. And really watch Catherine's video on this. It's very good. Where you just you go under, why that? Why that? Why that? And so you get down to the base reason for health. And for me, on the exercise, really the most basic of reasons is that your body is your instrument to interact with the world. And if it's not functioning or it's not well, then you're not functioning well in the outside world. You're not able to interact. And so for me, that's the big goal, is to be able to maintain a body that's going to let me get out into the world and do the things that I want to do. Okay, so that's my big why on goals for the fitness. All right, so we talked about the big why. So you could look at your list again. All right, now that we've talked about the big why and you've looked at each one of them, check to see that your priorities are the same, that those haven't switched, that you're like, oh, no, this one needs to so move up because this is my biggest why. Just go ahead. And then any that when you look at them, it's like, no, there's really no big why here. I just don't really want to do this. Mark it off your list. Right? So we're prioritizing and culling the list so that it only has the stuff that really matters to you. All right, now we did the big why, and now we're going to look at those goals and create little hows. Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense, so let me explain it. I had on my list at one time taxes. Well, every year I have it, taxes. Oh my gosh, and I dread it so much. I look at it and I go, taxes, I don't want to do the taxes. It's a big job, requires a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and I don't want to do it. All right, well, the taxes are one of those things that you get to do. My big why, my taxes, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to pay big penalties. So I have motivation to do it. But when I look at the whole big project of taxes, it's overwhelming. So what I did is I started breaking it down into little hows. little steps for taxes. I actually wrote down the first thing was go online and write out and print out the forms. That was it. That day, that's all I had to do was go online and print out the forms that I needed. Right. The next day, my little how was collect last year's stuff so that I had a model, to work on. And maybe the next day was collect all of this year's information in one big pile, because I do keep it in one spot. All right, do you see how I've turned taxes, which is big and overwhelming, into little hows, little steps that are way less overwhelming? Now, that could be for, let's say you set on your goals that you want to write a book. Great. What do you have to do to write a book? Well, you have to write. So I'm going to write. I'm going to write every day for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes. I'm going to find out who publishes the sorts of books that I want to write. So you break it down into little steps. My big goal, like my big scary goal I talked about earlier, is creating online classes. And I've actually been working on that for about 6 months now. Creating the platform, getting my website ready. And I looked at it probably for the 6 months before that, going, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Until I broke it down into little hows. And I said, okay, what's the first thing I need to do? The first thing I need to do is find a web developer. And so that was it. I spent some time, I did interviews, I did calls, I got my web developer. Okay, what's next? So it's been a series of little steps. This series came about because of the little hows involved with my bigger goal of online classes. When I started making the videos, they were really awful, really awful. All kinds of things were wrong, the camera, the sound, the lighting, and it's still not exactly where I want it, but I knew I wasn't going to get better unless I practiced. We've talked about that before too, the importance of not insisting on perfection, just starting. So that's why I started this series, so I could gain experience in making videos, editing, publishing videos. This is one of my little hows for my bigger online class. It also is one of my weekly goals now. So as you look at your big goals, look at your little hows, and you don't want to start them all at once. This is the other thing that really messes people up when they start their goals, is they're like, I'm going to do all these things. So let's say your little goal, your little how is to exercise 3 times a week. Decide. Draw the line in the sand, step over it, and decide that you are going to exercise Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at these times. Now, if you will do that for about a month, you've created a habit, and so that you're not using willpower anymore. You just know that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at this time you go exercise. You don't think about it. You don't have to hem and haw over it. You don't use, and we do have a limited amount of willpower every day, which I'm sure we'll talk about more in depth later as we talk about ways to stay accountable. But in this beginning part, when you first start, pick one, make it a habit. It takes about a month to make a habit. Then you're not using willpower anymore. It's easy to do that one thing and then move on to the next one. Right? Don't try and add too many things at one time so that you're overwhelmed and creating a bunch of different habits at the same time. Keep it to really not more than 3, 1 to 3 habits that you're going to start doing. And maybe it's just drinking more water every day, and you're going to do that at certain times. You're making it a habit, and then you go on to the next thing. Whatever it is, pick it, stick with it, make it a habit. Okay, you have a start here. List of goals, list of big goals that have a big why, that touch your heart, and then you're going to work on the little hows, the steps to make those things happen. Because that's really the goal to big dreams, is small steps and working at it. And so check back in about 4 to 6 months, redo the wheel, download it again, it'll be there. Try it again and see where you are. Are you in the same spot? Look at your list. Does it still resonate with you in the same way? Or, nah, I don't really care about it anymore. Or this one really means a lot more to me now. Feel free to move it around and do whatever you want to do. Because what we've done right now is gotten a snapshot of this moment. And you do change, you change, your situation, the circumstances, they all change. And so it's okay to look in 6 months and say, this is working, this is not. And if there were obstacles to your little house, like you set up steps and you tried to make them habits and they didn't work, why? What obstacle got in your way? Can you do it a different way? Can you go about it a different direction? Try something else. And we'll talk about ways to support yourself with groups and accountability and things like that. But these are the very first steps. Because goals are hard. They really are. But remember, they're your desires and your sense of fulfillment. And that makes a better life, more contentment, more happiness, and it's definitely something to work for. And you can do it.